She gave him everything, loved him without reservation, no games, no masks, and when he finally seemed ready to dive into that love, he vanished. No explanation, no warning, no looking back. Have you ever been there? Have you ever loved someone who seemed perfectly happy by your side until the exact moment things got real? And then, like smoke, they were gone. Today I'm going to reveal what Carl Jung discovered over a century ago about why men run from women who love them too much, and how Andrew Huberman, the Stanford neuroscientist, has validated this discovery with research that literally shows what happens in the male brain when love becomes too real. This isn't just another relationship theory. This is the decoding of a pattern that shatters millions of hearts every year. And more importantly, it's a pathway to break that devastating cycle. Jung called it Anima projection. The man doesn't fall in love with the real woman. He falls in love with a divine image he projects onto her, a goddess, a savior, a figure that exists only in his psyche. And when the real woman emerges, with her imperfections, her needs, her humanity, the projection shatters, and with it, the enchantment. But here's what Jung couldn't prove in his time. Huberman and modern neuroscience have revealed that men with avoidant attachment literally have different brain circuitry. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for emotional control, becomes hyperactive. The regions that process deep emotions are suppressed. It's as if the brain is saying, "Danger, retreat." It's not a choice, it's neurobiology. And that changes everything. Let me tell you about one of the most revealing cases Jung recorded. A 40-year-old man, professionally successful, sought out Jung after his third failed marriage. The pattern was always the same: overwhelming passion at the beginning, absolute devotion for a few months, and then a sudden coldness that he himself couldn't explain. This man described to Jung how each wife seemed perfect until the moment she stopped seeming perfect. There wasn't a specific event, no betrayal, no devastating fight. Simply, one day he would wake up and the woman beside him would seem like a stranger. The magic had vanished. Jung immediately identified the Anima projection in action. This man wasn't marrying real women. He was marrying an archetypal image that existed only in his psyche. And when the real woman inevitably emerged, the projection shattered. The most fascinating thing about this case is what Jung discovered in this patient's childhood. His mother was emotionally inconsistent, sometimes affectionate, sometimes distant, completely unpredictable. The boy learned that female love was something that appeared and disappeared without warning, something that couldn't be trusted decades later. This grown-up boy was unconsciously recreating that pattern. He chose women, projected onto them the idealized mother he never had. And when they showed themselves to be human, real, imperfect, he relived the original disillusionment. It wasn't about the wives. It was about the original wound that never healed. Jung observed this pattern in hundreds of patients over decades. The man meets a woman, feels an overwhelming attraction, projects onto her everything that's missing in his own soul, the tenderness he repressed, the sensitivity he never developed, the capacity to feel deeply that he learned to hide. This projection creates what we call love at first sight. But it's not love for the woman. It's love for what she represents, for the emptiness she seems to fill, for the promise of completeness. And while the projection holds, the man is present, passionate, devoted. He makes plans, talks about the future, acts as if she's the only one. Then, something changes. The woman becomes real. She has a bad day. She expresses a need. She shows vulnerability. She asks for more intimacy. And in that moment, the projection starts to crack. Jung described this moment with surgical precision. The man no longer sees the goddess. He sees a common woman, and suddenly, all that intensity he felt transforms into something different: discomfort, irritation, an urgent need to create distance. Huberman explained the neurobiology behind this. In men with avoidant attachment, emotional closeness activates the threat system. Cortisol rises, adrenaline increases, the body enters flight mode. It's not a metaphor. It's literally what happens. His brain interprets intimacy as danger, and the natural response of the nervous system is to escape. In episode 59 of the Huberman Lab, Andrew Huberman delved deeply into the science of avoidant attachment. He explained that there are 4 main attachment styles: secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. Avoidant attachment specifically is characterized by a systematic disconnection from emotions when intimacy increases. Huberman described how people with avoidant attachment were often children who learned to ignore their caregivers, not out of natural coldness, but out of the need for psychic survival. If emotional closeness caused pain, the child's brain developed an elegant solution: shut down the approach. What's fascinating and disturbing is that men with avoidant attachment are often attracted to anxious women, and anxious women are attracted to avoidant men. It's a neurological dance perfectly calibrated to create emotional chaos. The anxious woman pursues because the uncertainty activates her dopamine system. She interprets distance as a challenge. The avoidant man flees because the pursuit activates his threat system. He interprets proximity as danger. The more she pursues, the more he flees. The more he flees, the more she pursues. It's a cycle that can last years, decades, even lifetimes. Dr. Alan Shaw, in his November 2024 studies, showed that this pattern forms in the first 24 months of life. If the primary caregiver was inconsistent, if the baby learned that proximity means pain, this program gets burned into the brain circuits decades later. When an adult man gets too close to a woman who loves him, that old program is activated. He's not running from her. He's running from a threat that his infant brain registered 30, 40 years ago. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." These men don't choose to run. They are programmed to run. And here's the most painful part for the women who love them. The more she loves, the more he flees, because deep love is exactly the trigger that activates the flight response. Huberman's research at Stanford Lab revealed impressive data. In individuals with avoidant attachment, the brain regions responsible for deep emotional processing, such as the anterior cingulate cortex, show reduced activity. Meanwhile, the default mode network, associated with self-referential thoughts and rumination, becomes hyperactive. In simpler terms, the avoidant brain is constantly focused on itself, on its own needs for protection, rather than genuinely connecting with others. This isn't selfishness in the moral sense. It's a survival adaptation that has become dysfunctional. As both Carl Jung and Andrew Huberman would probably point out, there are 5 clear signs that a man is projecting his anima onto you instead of really loving you. If you recognize 3 or more of these signs, you need to pay attention. First sign: he fell in love too fast. The projection creates instant intensity. He declared love in weeks, not months. He talked about the future before really knowing you. The speed wasn't genuine passion. It was the urgency to grab the projected image before it disappeared, like catching smoke. Second sign: he idealizes you in unreal ways. You're too perfect in his description. He ignores your flaws or transforms them into qualities. He doesn't see you. He sees the goddess he's projected onto you. And no human can live up to a goddess. Think of it like a Hollywood movie version of you, not the real you. Third sign: he reacts poorly when you show vulnerability, when you have a bad day, when you express needs, when you ask for support. He distances himself, because the goddess doesn't have bad days. The goddess doesn't have needs. The projection starts to crack when you show yourself to be human. Fourth sign: he alternates between extreme closeness and inexplicable coldness. While the projection holds, he's completely present. When it falters, he disappears. You never know which version of him will appear, because it depends on how intact the illusion is. It's like watching a chameleon change colors. Fifth sign, Ma. He can't explain what he loves about you. If you ask, he'll give vague answers. You're special. You're different. You're the one. But he can't point to specific qualities, because he's not seeing qualities. He's seeing an archetype, an image, a dream, a carefully curated Pinterest board in his head. These 5 signs don't mean he feels nothing. He feels intensely. But what he feels isn't about you. It's about the wound he carries, about the emptiness he tries to fill, about the anima he never integrated. Jung went even deeper. He explained that the anima isn't just a romantic projection. It's a man's connection to his own inner world. When a man represses his anima, when he disconnects from his own emotionality, he needs an external woman to feel anything. She becomes his only access to the world of feelings, like a lifeline thrown into a dark abyss. And that's an impossible burden to carry. When the woman inevitably fails to be the perfect goddess he projected, when she shows herself to be human, his only bridge to emotions collapses. And with it, his ability to feel. That's why he runs. Not because she did something wrong, but because without the projection, he returns to the void, like an astronaut suddenly detached from their spaceship. Neuroscientists in 2024 and 2025 have added a crucial layer to this understanding. People with avoidant attachment have deficits in the oxytocin and GABA systems, the neurotransmitters responsible for connection and calm. At the same time, they show elevated levels of dopamine, the neurotransmitter of seeking and novelty. Andrew Huberman would definitely emphasize this neurobiological aspect. This explains a pattern that any woman who has loved an avoidant man recognizes. He adores the conquest, but loses interest when he conquers. Dopamine spikes in the chase. When love becomes stable, when there's no more novelty to pursue, his brain chemistry pushes him to the next conquest. It's like an addiction, but to newness. It's not a lack of character. It's neurobiology, plain and simple. EEG research conducted in 2024 revealed something even more specific about the avoidant brain. When securely attached people see images of their partners, there's synchronization between the amygdala, responsible for processing emotions, and the posterior cingulate cortex, involved in integrating emotional experiences with memory. In people with avoidant attachment, this synchronization doesn't happen. The amygdala activates, registers the emotion, but the signal doesn't integrate. It's as if the brain says, "I feel something, but I'm not going to process that feeling," like a firewall blocking emotional data. This explains why avoidant men frequently describe a strange disconnection from their own feelings. They know they should feel more. They want to feel more. But there's a neurological block that prevents the emotion from completing. And when a woman loves them deeply, when she offers genuine intimacy, that block is exactly what activates. The brain registers the love as a threat and blocks emotional processing even more. She gives more. He feels less. She gets closer. He shuts down more. It's a protection mechanism that, paradoxically, destroys exactly what he needs most. But that doesn't mean he can't change. Jung dedicated a large part of his work to the process he called Anima integration. The man needs to recognize that he's projecting. He needs to withdraw the projection from the external woman and do the internal work of developing his own emotional capacity. This means facing the void. It means feeling the emotions he spent a lifetime avoiding. It means growing in the places where he remained a child. It's like finally cleaning out that junk drawer in your soul. It's painful work. Most men aren't willing to do it. Huberman complemented this with the neuroscience of neuroplasticity. The brain can change. The circuits of avoidant attachment can be rewired. But this requires consistent practice, deliberate intention, and often therapeutic support. It doesn't just happen because the right woman appeared. It's not magic. It's hard work. And that's the hardest truth that many women need to hear. You can't love him enough to cure him. Your love, however deep and genuine, won't fix brain circuits formed in childhood. Your dedication won't fill the emptiness he carries from before he met you. This isn't about you. It never was. Jung specifically warned about this pattern in women who love too much. He said they often project their animus, the masculine part of the female psyche, onto these wounded men. They see potential where there are only unhealed wounds. They see the man he could be, not the man he is, and they spend years, sometimes decades, trying to rescue someone who didn't ask to be rescued. It's like trying to force a puzzle piece where it doesn't belong. Shaw's research confirms this from a neurobiological perspective. Attachment styles formed in the first 24 months shape relationships throughout life. A woman with anxious attachment will be magnetically drawn to avoidant men. She'll interpret his distance as a challenge to be overcome. The uncertainty will activate her seeking system, making her chase even more. And the more she chases, the more he runs. It's a neurological dance perfectly synchronized for mutual suffering. Heartbreaking tango of push and pull. So, what's the solution? Jung would say, first, know thyself. Examine your own projections. Ask yourself, why are you drawn to men who run? What within you needs healing that you're trying to find in another? Huberman would add, understand the neurobiology. Recognize that you can't change his brain, but you can change yours. You can work on your own attachment patterns. You can develop the ability to choose partners who are truly available. 2024 research shows that attachment-focused therapies can rewire brain circuits in a matter of months, not years, months. With the right practice, the brain changes. But this change needs to come from within, from a conscious decision to break the pattern. There's a second truth that Jung revealed about this phenomenon. The man who runs from deep love isn't just running from the woman, he's running from himself. Emotional intimacy acts like a mirror. When someone truly loves us, when they see us completely, we're forced to see ourselves. And for a man who's spent his life avoiding his own depths, that mirror is unbearable. He can't stand to be seen, because if someone really knows him, they'll see the emptiness. They'll see the wounded child he's hidden. They'll see the emotions he's buried, and that is terrifying. Huberman explains this through research on the default mode network. In people with avoidant attachment, this network is constantly active, processing threats to their self-image. When someone gets too close, when love threatens to reveal who they really are, the system sets off alarms. Run. Protect yourself. Don't let her see. That's why many avoidant men sabotage relationships at the exact moment they're going well. Happiness becomes the threat. Genuine love becomes the danger. And they run from what they want most. Jung called this the tragedy of the shadow. The parts of ourselves we can't accept govern us from the dark. The man who hasn't integrated his anima will forever be a fugitive, not from women, from himself. But there's hope in this understanding, because if the problem is unconscious, the solution is to make it conscious. If the pattern is neurobiological, neuroplasticity offers the path to change. Huberman's latest research identifies specific practices that can start to rewire these circuits. Breath-focused meditation, body awareness exercises, therapy that works specifically with attachment patterns, and most importantly, safe and consistent relationships. Paradoxically, what heals avoidant attachment is exactly what it avoids: real, consistent, predictable connection. But this healing can't come from a romantic partner. It needs to come from a therapist, from close friends, from a commitment to oneself. The man needs to learn that proximity doesn't mean danger, and that lesson takes time. Now I need to speak directly to the men who are listening to this and recognizing themselves. If you're the man who runs, if you've identified with this pattern, I know it's not easy to hear, but that's exactly the point where change can begin. Jung would say that the fact that you recognize the pattern is already the first step in transformation. While it remained unconscious, it controlled you. Now that you see it, you have a choice. There are specific signs that you may be operating with avoidant attachment. You feel uncomfortable when the relationship is going too well. You look for flaws in your partner when she gets close. You need space frequently, and that space feels urgent, almost like shortness of breath. You fantasized about ex-partners or other people when the current relationship got serious. You value your independence above almost everything. The idea of depending emotionally on someone seems like weakness. You're more comfortable giving support than receiving it. Emotional intimacy seems like something you should want, but in practice causes you anxiety. If you recognize yourself in 3 or more of these signs, you probably carry an avoidant attachment pattern. And here is the truth that can change your life. You are not defective. You are not incapable of love. You developed an adaptation in childhood that protected you when you were too vulnerable to protect yourself otherwise. That adaptation served you, but now it's sabotaging you. The neuroplasticity that Huberman describes applies to you too. Your circuits can be rewired. You can learn to tolerate intimacy. You can develop the ability to stay when your nervous system screams to run. But that requires you to stop running from yourself first. Jung offered his male patients a specific path. First, recognize the projection. Realize that you're not seeing the real woman. You're seeing an image. Second, consciously withdraw the projection. This means accepting that she is human, imperfect, and that your disenchantment is not her fault. Third, do the internal work. Develop your own emotional capacity instead of depending on an external woman to feel. Huberman adds specific neurological practices, nervous system regulation exercises that can calm the threat response when intimacy increases. Attachment-focused therapies that rewire the circuits formed in childhood. Mindfulness practices that increase the ability to tolerate uncomfortable emotions without running away. Change is possible, but it starts with a decision that no woman can make for you. The decision to stop running. For the women who are listening to this and recognizing their own relationships, I have an important message. You haven't failed. Your love wasn't deficient. Your dedication wasn't wrong. You simply can't heal someone who isn't ready to be healed. Jung said that the journey of individuation, the process of becoming whole, can only be done by one's own choice. No one can do it for another. No amount of love can replace the internal work that each person needs to do. And sometimes, the highest form of love is to recognize that and walk away. Huberman validates this wisdom with data. People who remain in relationships with unhealed avoidant partners suffer measurable impacts on their own mental health. Their cortisol levels remain elevated. Their immune systems weaken. The constant uncertainty creates a state of chronic stress that affects every system in the body. Loving someone who runs isn't romanticism, it's trauma, and you deserve more. Jung offered a final vision that transforms this understanding from tragedy into a path of growth. He said that we often attract exactly the people who will reveal our own wounds, not by accident, out of a need for healing. If you consistently attract men who run, there's something within you calling for attention. Maybe it's a belief that love must be earned. Maybe it's a fear of true intimacy that you mask with availability. Maybe it's an emptiness inside you that you try to fill by rescuing others. This isn't blame. It's opportunity. Dr. Shaw's research shows that our attachment patterns can be transformed at any age. The brain remains plastic throughout life, but this transformation requires you to look inward instead of outward. Instead of asking, "Why did he run?" Ask, "Why did you stay?" Instead of analyzing his behavior, examine your own. Instead of trying to understand his brain, work with yours, because the only person you can change is yourself. Andrew Huberman concludes his studies on attachment with a note of scientific optimism. The neural connections that govern our relationship patterns are some of the most plastic in the brain. With the right practices, with consistency and intention. And we can literally rewire how we relate. We are not trapped by childhood patterns. We are not victims of our neurobiology. We are beings capable of conscious evolution. Carl Jung said it more poetically. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. For the woman who loved too much, a man who ran. Your awakening starts now. Not in understanding why he left, but in understanding why you need love that doesn't run. Not in hoping he'll come back changed, but in changing yourself in ways that attract love that stays. Not in healing his wounds, but in healing your own wounds. That led you to him. This is the path that Jung and Huberman, each in their own way, point towards. The man who runs from deep love is running from himself, and until he chooses to stop running, until he does the internal work that only he can do, no woman can reach him. But you don't need to run from anything. You can stop, look inward, do the work. And when you do, when your own circuits are rewired, when your own wounds are healed, you will no longer be attracted to ghosts that disappear. You will be attracted to presence, to consistency, to love that stays, and he will exist, waiting for you. On the other side of that inner work, on the other side of that transformation, on the other side of yourself, Jung spent the last years of his life refining an idea that sums all of this up. He said that the relationship between the anima and the animus, between the internal feminine within a man and the internal masculine within a woman, is the true marriage. The external marriage between two people can only flourish when both have made that internal marriage first. The man who runs is running because he hasn't married his own anima. He projects onto external women what he should develop internally, and until he does that work, he will keep running, from woman to woman, from relationship to relationship, from himself forever. The woman who loves too much often projects her animus onto wounded men. She sees potential instead of reality, sees what he could be instead of what he is. And until she withdraws that projection, she will continue to attract men who run. Huberman's neuroscience validates this age-old wisdom with contemporary data. Our attachment patterns are real. They are etched into brain circuits. But these circuits can change, with work, with awareness, with the courage to look inward. Love that doesn't run exists, not as a fantasy, as a real possibility. For those willing to do the work, that makes it possible. If this content resonated with you, if it revealed patterns you recognize in your own life, subscribe to this channel. Here we decode the mysteries of the human psyche through the lenses of Carl Jung and modern neuroscience. Understanding is the first step, but action is what transforms. Start today. Start now. Start with you.